There are a few things that make the Golden Visa really attractive for South Africans. Number one is that they don't need to physically relocate. Secondly, they have what's known as family reunification under Portuguese immigration law. So the main investor makes the investment and the property has to be in that person's name, and then they're registered as the main investor on their visa. But what happens is that as the main investor, your spouse and your dependent children are entitled to get a Golden Visa as well. So they get exactly the same rights as the main investor does. So for 500,000 Rand, if you've got a wife and four children, all of you can jump on the program. Children 18 and over, you need to prove dependency, and there's not really a cut-off age for proving dependency. In order to prove dependency, you need to show that child is A, financially dependent on you, and B, is not working and not married. So those are the criteria. We do have some clients who've got dependent children who are in their late 20s, but I think that when you're setting out and starting the program, it's probably going to be from the date you decide to go ahead to when you're going to apply for citizenship, about 7 years. So if you're starting off with dependents who mid-20s, there's probably a lot of risk there, because the chances are that by the time they want to apply to become permanent resident, they're probably going to be independent. So that's also part of what we do when we do the initial family assessment, is we advise on the likelihood of and the risks around certain dependents. And some people take a risk because they think their children might still be studying when they're 30. So you need to prove that that child is unemployed, studying at a tertiary institution, and financially independent. Provided at the time that you come to naturalize, which is after 6 years of consecutive residency, and all the people have met all the criteria of independence throughout the program, then they can make an application to become a Portuguese citizen, subject to various conditions, one of them being that they can all speak Portuguese, and they do have to do a Portuguese language test. So that also raises a lot of concerns at the beginning, but I think if people are looking to get a Portuguese passport, then I would advise them from the early days in the program to start learning how to speak Portuguese, and to actually embrace Portugal as your potential future home, because that's what you're asking them to do, is to make you a citizen of the country. And I don't think you should take that lightly. And equally with the dependents, is make sure that at the points of each renewal, because during the 5-year period of the Golden Visa, there are 2 points at which you need to renew your visa. That's after year 1. So your first residency card is valid for 1 year, and then after year 1 you will get another card for 2 years, and then at year 3 you do another renewal, and that's for a further 2 years, and that takes you up to the full 5 years of the Golden Visa. And at each one of those renewal points, what they're checking for is that you still have your investment in Portugal, that your dependents are still dependent, that you've paid all your taxes, because you might be earning rental income on the property, and also that you haven't picked up a criminal record along the way. So they reserve the right to terminate any residencies of people who become undesirable along the way. So as long as you meet those criteria, there's no reason that you shouldn't get to the end of the 5 years. There are 2 options at the end of year 5. You can either renew your Golden Visa for a further 2 years, which would take you up to 6 to 7 years, and then after 6 years you could then apply to naturalize and become a citizen. The only thing is that at each point where you renew your Golden Visa, there is a government fee that you pay for the issue of the card, and that works out at 2,500 euros per renewal per card. So that is quite expensive, especially for a big family. So what a lot of families will do is apply to become permanent resident rather after 5 years. You're then entitled to become permanent resident, and after 1 year of permanent residency you can then apply for citizenship.